In today's video, I'm going to be building the branch structure and ramification of my European Hornbeam pre-bonsai. What's happening, bonsai friends? I have already removed all of the spent foliage from the tree. I think the first thing that I need to do is cut these right back so that I can actually get to the tree without being poked in the eye and whipped around the cheek. So I'm not going to be too fussy. I'm simply going to prune back to a bud. It's relatively easy for me to locate the approximate silhouette of the tree. We have these new shoots rocket off, and if you look very carefully there's a subtle colour difference, with the new growth being slightly green where the old growth is more of a grey-brown. Okay, that's a bit better. I can actually get to the tree without being jabbed up the nose now. Right, so down here, as you can see, a lot of adventitious buds have sprung forth from the trunk, and I don't think I need any of these as part of the design moving forward. So if we start down here, we've got this piece that's coming from the inside of this bend, don't need that. And there's another little wispy piece here that we also don't need. In the crotch of these two legs, we've got a little shoot in here. Definitely don't need that guy. And then up on this leg, we've got a lot of awkward branches that are just shooting off in weird random directions. This one, for example, is just hanging down and then coming forward at a really weird angle. We've got two crossing over each other here. Now I'm half tempted to leave this one. Nah, it just looks weird. Let's just take that one off. I'm going to leave these two little ones for now. Just here is a good example of some crotch growth. So we've got this branch here, which is a piece of primary structure that we need. And where it comes from the trunk, we've got these little shoots that have emerged. We don't need these, they just make the tree look messy and they could contribute to structural issues in the future, so we're just going to whip those off. Okay, so I'm just going through the tree, cleaning out those crotches. Anywhere where awkward pieces are coming from the junctions, I'm just going to remove those, chop them out. There's another one here, look. We've got this primary structure here. Need that, we'll keep that. What we don't need is this little wispy thing. There we go. There's another one. Some pieces here hanging down, some buds. We'll just remove them. We don't want them to we don't want those to extend in spring, that's just a waste of the tree's energy. A bit later I'd like to ask for your advice and opinions regarding the apices of these two sub-trunks. I'm a little bit undecided about which way that I'm going to go with them, so I'll ask for your feedback on that. Okay, so let's get some wire on one or two of these branches. Tags back. So just a quick couple of tips regarding wiring of your branches that I've picked up from various online videos. The first is, when you're wiring two structural branches together with a single piece of wire, consider the front of the tree and any ways that you can disguise where the wire is passing from the one branch to the next branch. To give you an example, the front of the tree is somewhere in this region, and I've passed the wire towards the back of the tree between these two branches so that it's not quite so obvious from the front when viewed from the front of the tree. So another example, when I come to wiring these two branches together, With the front of the tree being in this direction, I'm going to pass the wire from this branch to this branch along this side so that it's at least partially obscured from view, when viewed from the front, by the trunk here. The second tip, which is always important to think about, but is especially important if you want to rotate branches, is to consider the direction that you want to rotate and ensure that the turns of the wire follow that direction. So if I wanted to rotate this branch counterclockwise or anti-clockwise, I would also ensure that the wraps of the wire also take a counterclockwise direction. That ensures that when you do rotate the branch, that the wire is tightening and acting against the rotation rather than loosening and allowing the branch to return to its original position more easily. I'm not going to go the full 90 degrees, so we're going from a flat structure to a completely vertical structure. I'm just looking to tilt a little bit just to bring out some vertical depth. Okay, so we've got a little bit of three-dimensionality out here now. The branch swoops down and then back up. And I've also introduced just a subtle move forwards. So for this branch, we're rotating counterclockwise. Okay, so I've done some of the repositioning, subtle though it may be, of some of these primary branches, and it's getting quite tricky to work in and around the finer twigs that exist on the tree at the moment. So I think with the length of a lot of these branches being a bit out of whack as well, it's a good time now to grab the shears and do a bit of pruning so that we can really make better decisions moving forward and to make any more wire application that bit easier. If I just move it back around to the front, I do think that actually this is going to be pretty important. We've got quite a bare area here. I don't necessarily want all of the length of this branch, but because I don't have millions of buds to cut back to, I am going to leave a bit of grace just to be safe and ensure that we don't lose the branch, we do get some growth, and then in late spring I shall be able to come back in and do another round of pruning that is more suitable to the length that I'm after. This twig is actually dead, so we can cut that right back to where it originates. A piece of advice that I received from Andy Hardman is that hornbeam don't have reliable first buds. So if we say that this is the first bud on this piece of ramification, if I were to cut back to 2, according to Andy's advice, that first bud isn't reliable, so it might be that we only get 1 shoot develop. So I'm actually going to leave 3 buds so that we've got 1 to act as a safety. I'm really sorry to interrupt the video again, but if you don't mind smashing that like button, that will really help me out. It lets me know that my videos are on the right track. I am going to keep this little guy just in case it comes in handy for the future. And the same down here. There's some random wavy pieces that aren't ideal, but because we don't have loads of buds, I'm not going to go too bananas with the pruning. I think somewhere around this length is about right for this branch. I'm just looking around to make sure that there are plenty of buds on the piece that I'm going to cut back to. There are. We've got buds around here, so I'm going to cut back to there. So in terms of this back branch, again, it's coming right off into the horizon. I don't need all of this length. I'm going to make sure that I've got plenty of buds that I can cut back to, which I do, and I'll come in and make the cut. So regardless of what happens to the apex, I'm going to cut it back quite drastically so that more light can get through to the lower branches and we can build out the lower branches faster. So I'll start with this piece. I'm going to cut back to usable ramification. Preferably areas where we take 1 down to 2. Okay, and we've got a fairly long young piece here. I'm actually just going to cut that completely out. In here we've got this long coarse piece, and on the end of this nice fine ramification there's actually 3 buds. That's perfect. So I can cut back to that, all the while knowing that we're building that beautiful ramification. Let's take that dead twig out. Now although this piece is a bit long, there's nothing to cut back to, and I like the place that it originates from the branch. It's not coarse, so I'm actually going to leave that piece even though it's a little long. So in this area, it's a bit long and coarse. It's got some nice movement, but it's longer than what we need. And just below, we've got 2 nice shoots there. So let's take that long coarse piece back to those 2. We've got 2 very long pieces here going off at all sorts of different angles. I'm going to take this back to a bud there. This piece is pretty long. There's a nice little twiggy bit there. So I'm going to go right back in with this one. If I can find my way into the branch. This piece is also excessively long, and we've got, we've got a bud on that piece, and we've got possibly 2 on that one. So let's take you back to there. There's a lot of growth coming from this area and it gets quite long and coarse. But as it's not part of the upper region, I'm going to hold off on that bit for the time being. And we've got another long section here, far too long, dead piece. I'm going to cut this one back. We've got these dead stubby bits off so we can see what's what. We've got a viable bud here. Possibly one just here, but the next one's up here, so let's go for cutting back to there. Take that piece off because it's dead. Clean that up. Here we've got a long and relatively straight branch, this one. Clean out some of the dead stuff so we can make our choices a bit easier. We've got plenty of side shoots to work with off this piece if we choose to keep it. When it comes out here, there's a nice junction here, and then if I keep 2 of these finer pieces of ramification, so we've got this if we wish to keep the length, and we've also got this piece here. Okay, that's the pruning in the apex done. I've just spotted something here that's annoying me, so let's just quickly trim that back a bit, and then I think just tweak that around just a bit more. Yep, and then this branch can just tweak that just a little. There we go. So this area and this area were sort of coming together in a sort of almost like an eye shape here, forming almost like an eye shape here. So that was bothering me, so tweak that, and then let's just get rid of this little guy. We're not going to need it after all. Up in this area, this piece over here is interfering with this branch, and we've got a nice twig that we can cut back to here. So I'm going to come in with the cutters, take that piece off. This piece out here is far too long, and if you look carefully, right here we've got a nice subdivision. So let's just make a bit of space, get rid of you, take that bit out, and with a piece of wire, persuade this down here, and this piece will go above up here. Okay, so I've pruned back a lot of the upper region. I could prune it back further, but I just wanted to take enough off so that you could see what was going on. I think it still needs a lot of fine wiring on these finer pieces, and I'm certainly not finished at the moment, but I just really want to stop and ask for your advice and ask for your opinions on this apical region. I'm proposing that we chop it here and build the apex from this area. We do have a really conveniently positioned shoot here. I'm not sure how well you can see it. It's coming from this branch, just about there. Now if we did chop back to here, that would make quite a convenient apex in time. It would take a while to thicken up, but I think in time that would work quite well. Right, so let me know what you think about the apical region. Do we chop it? Drop me a comment, and if I decide not to do the chop, what I'll do is I'll do an update of the finished tree over on Instagram at Grow Bonsai. If I do the chop and we do something a bit more drastic, then I'll create a second part to this video. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, so that you know when part 2 comes out, if it comes out. And if you wouldn't mind, smash that like button, really helps me out, lets me know that I'm on the right track. Yeah, so for the size of trunk that we've got, I can't help but wonder if having the apex way up here is just a bit too tall actually, and I think a slightly more compact apex roughly here might suit the tree just that little bit better. I mean, I don't want to take this tree right back into the early stages of development, but I do think that there is a bit of potential to really improve on this tree just by accepting that we're adding another, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years onto the development process. I think once those years have elapsed, it will have been worth it, and we would have achieved a step up in the final quality of this tree overall. Right, let's give it a nice 360 so you can have a look all around. Might reposition this little branch at some point. Another thing I've been thinking about is cutting this sub-trunk right back. Drastic.